make sure the mic came on. That's why I wasn't looking at you when we first started. Welcome to the Underground Gospel Show. This is episode number 126. 126. Yeah, we've done a lot of them. 126 of them. Plus, oh my gosh, how many videos do I have up right now? I know that I'm in recording studio, and I've just recorded 15 new songs for the rest of the year. A few Christmas songs and a few contemporary songs and a few classic songs, a bunch of classic songs. And I'm also planning on some new things for next year. So next year we're going to have some meditation music. Some of my friends have been doing songs, and so I'm working on those right now. I think I've mentioned that before. This is the Underground Gospel Show. It's a safe place to go. Let me make sure my housekeeping's up and done. There's no swearing. There's no trolling. We only bless. We only edify. We only lift up here. We only worship. We don't cut down or have any type of just bad stuff. No bad stuff. Anyway, if you like what you see, subscribe. You probably already have. We're every Friday and Saturday night on Twitch, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. Twitch, we're only on Friday and Saturday night. Then we're gone till the next Friday and Saturday. Facebook, we're on for 2 weeks. They keep us up for 2 weeks, and then we're off Facebook. And YouTube, we're evergreen. So if you want to go back years, decades, millennial, until they kick us off of YouTube or we get rid of the cloud or whatever, we'll be on YouTube for as long as they keep me up. So we'll try. Anyway, right now, we thank YouTube for being for keeping us, for hosting us. We do appreciate them for doing that. Thank you, Google and Alphabet and all you guys over there. We really do appreciate you. If you like what I'm doing, you can go to night-music.com. This is the part where I struggle and I pull up the little scroll that goes across the bottom that tells you can go to nightmusic.com. And there it is right there. And you can go there and find a tip code. You can send me a tip if you want to, or you can join our Patreon page and get this actually weeks before. So if you're on our Patreon page, let me just give you an example. If you're on our Patreon page, you would be getting this on September 16th. If you're not on our Patreon page, it's coming to you October 14th. So there's a good month in between it. There's usually 4 to 6 weeks lag between our Patreons, which costs you $2.99 a month. Wow, that's expensive. $2.99. What can you buy for $2.99? Not even a Snickers bar. Okay, you may be a Snickers bar. I don't know how bad inflation is, but where you are, I know for us, Starbucks has changed its name to $10, and so so inflation is going up there. But anyway, it's $2.99, and you get these 4 weeks earlier. So I mean, and it helps me, it keeps the mission going. If you also want to go to Patreon page, you can sponsor us and sponsor languages that go up on the videos. So last year, in 2021, all the videos that I released were only in single language. We didn't have it was the middle of a pandemic. I totally get it. It was a difficult season. In fact, we're supposed to do, I think, last year we had scheduled 14 live shows and we ended up doing 5. So that's what started this live stream, or started this show. I don't want to call it a live stream because a lot of them are pre-recorded and then sent out on multiple nights. And that's what we do, is we pre-record them, even though it's live streaming software and it's live streaming apparatus and live streaming streams. It's not a live show. It's a recorded show, like anything on TV or a lot of other shows that you watch. But if you leave me comments, I will definitely get back at your comments right away. You go to night-music.com. You can get my email address. You can find cool garments. You can find the lyrics of the song. past episodes, other information, all kinds of stuff, contact information. If you want us to come on and do an event or play at your church or your youth group or whatever you have, got your older group, or if at your nursing home. Um, I'm desperate, guys. No, I'm just kidding. We'll come out there and play wherever we can. And so, thank you so much for tuning in. We do appreciate the fans that have come in. And so, let's see. Tonight we are brought to you by one of my favorite verses in the Bible, and that's Romans 12:2. In Romans 12:2, to get you the right thing here, it um, says online verses are unavailable. Try switching to your offline verse. Okay, that's fine. I thought I was on the offline. Um, what do they have me doing here? Um, oh my gosh. Okay, well, this is really weird because I don't know what they've done to my version. But what this says basically is fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out, readily recognized what He wants from you, and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings the best out of you, developed and well formed maturity in you. Um, Basically, you'll hear in other versions, transform yourself with the renewing of your mind. And I talk a lot about the brain and about the mind because our mind is a malleable substance. We're the only creatures on this entire planet that have the capacity to do what we do. First off, we know we're going to die. We know we have a demise. We know that our days are numbered. Most other animals, as far as I know, we've never been able to find out that a dolphin knows he's going to die. You know, they know dolphins die. They know that they lose their parents, but I don't know if they know they're going to die. I don't know what they feel when they have that loss. You know, I don't know what a monkey feels, what a bird feels. I know birds recognize it when their mates die. I do. Geese, ducks, there's a number of animals that mate for life. And when their mate dies, I know they feel it. But I don't know if they realize exactly what's happened or that they're going to die too. Because they don't seem to plan for it at all. In fact, that's something else that people have that other animals don't, is with the ability to plan and figure out where we're going to go and what we're going to do. Birds travel all over the world, but they do it by instinct and habit. We set up a goal where we want to go, and we get there by setting a goal, you know. And so, but we're, as far as I know, the only creature that does that. Um, we know what, you know, we're going to eat for dinner, and we plan on it. Other animals eat the same thing day in and day out, day in. And I guess some people do too. You know, depending on where you are in the world and what your culinary tastes are. Some people might not even have a culinary taste. They eat plankton, you know, and that's it. Period. Done. Or plantains, or bananas, or grapefruit. You know, whatever it is what they eat. But as far as I know, most everybody has a varied diet and has the capacity to learn and to change their diet. We also have the ability to communicate and to change our communication with wherever we are in our locations of the world. Now, do other birds have different calls to places? Yes, but do they understand what they are, and can they change their calls? I haven't seen it. But then I don't study birds, so you don't know. Anyway, but what we're talking about right now is the renewing of your mind. And the best way to do that I have found is with this button that's on every device we have, and that's called the off button. If you turn your device off, it's the easiest way to renew your mind. Now, the world is full of negative things. We know this. We know that there's negative things that happen. Right now, there are murders happening. There are political upheavals happening. There's decisions being made for you and against you. There's things, you know, I don't want to get really political here, but I love how 6 months ago our administration was telling us that we had to get a shot that could possibly stop a disease. But then, the Supreme Court says, no, pass that on to the states. And all of a sudden, they're like, no, we need to be able to tell, our whatever, our government can't tell us what to do with our bodies. But 6 months earlier, the government was telling us to do what to do with our bodies. But now the government shouldn't tell us what to do with our bodies. And it's crazy the stuff that happens out there. And the easiest way to protect yourself from that is turning it off. Does that mean you're uninformed? I got to tell you guys, most of what goes on in the government does not affect me at all. In fact, and I've said this for decades, the only time I've had an easy time with our government is when they're closed down. And between you and me, I there's just, yes, I vote, and I know I have a constitutional right to vote. I guess now what happens is if you don't vote, they'll vote for you. So that's kind of, I guess it saves time. But I don't know who they're voting for, and I don't know that it really makes a difference. But the thing that really makes me feel like an American is when I get that little letter from the Copyright Office, from the Library of Congress, telling me that my name and the thing that I created will be in the Library of Congress and the archives of the United States for the next 70 years. And if I renew it, 70 years beyond that. But more importantly, I'm registered as being a person who has something at the Library of Congress. And that, I don't know why that means something to me, but it always has, more than even voting. I vote and I, cast my decision with, 300 million other people, but I'm the only one who has my name beside that work of art up in the Library of Congress. And, that literary work or the musical work or the film work or anything that I've created, that I'm the one that has that. And so to me, it's a cool thing. That's a very, very cool thing. I've had copyrights since I was a kid, you know? And so I don't know. To me, it just means something to have a copyright. But the big thing about renewing your mind is working on the Bible. Um, One of the things that I do myself, now I've read the Bible through a couple of times, and one thing that I do still to this day, I had and have done it months this year. This year, I have decided. Oh, excuse me. I've decided that this year, what I would do is I would read the Bible I would read Proverbs. There's 31 Proverbs, and a lot of the months have 31 months. And it was so cute a couple weeks ago because it was day 31. And I was with my partner, and so I read her Proverbs 31. And if you haven't read Proverbs 31, it doesn't come up all the time because most months don't have 31 days. But if you've ever read it, there's, to me, one of the funniest parts of the Bible because it talks about the Proverbs 31 woman. And a lot of people, like, they figure that it's a way to keep women down. But my girlfriend, she's like, she shops. She shops all around the world. She goes out and brings treasures home. She brings exotic gifts home all the time for her grandkids and her kids and myself. And maybe I shouldn't have said grandkids. Yeah, she loves being a Gigi. So anyway, but she'll bring gifts home, and she loves the treasures that she finds from around the places. Now, does she sew? Does she mend? Not at all. But does she buy jackets in March for the next year when they're on sale? Oh, absolutely. She absolutely shops in July for Christmas, and she's a big, she has my birthday presents for like the next 3 years. And I am so okay with that because that's who she is. And it's her way of giving and her way of loving and her way of caring. Now, people are like, well, you just want to keep women home sewing and barefoot and pregnant. Well, for one thing, she's not getting pregnant. For another thing, she's not going to be barefoot because she won Diane von Furstenberg shoes and Gucci and But a couple good collections of stuff when she was on the presses right a while ago. Needless to say, it's funny to read because I was reading her this stuff, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm totally okay with being this woman," and supporting my family the way that it says to do in the Bible. And I think that if you get your head out of the fact that when it was written, women were I don't know if they were object. I didn't live back then, so I don't know. I can't believe women were actually ever not equal to men. I mean, I understand that they had to be protected by men, and we would lay our lives down to protect them. I get that part. I would do that today. I mean, but the fact is that they had their contributions were so important to the family. I can't believe that a man would look at her as property, even though the law and the state probably did. The law and the state, like I said earlier, dude, best time I had with the government was when they were shut down. I bet the same thing would happen in the Roman times. Shut down the Senate, shut down the Congress, shut down the ruling party, and people are just fine without them. As far as having wars and armies and all this and expanding, we don't need that. We didn't need that then. We don't need it now. We are much better off without having military grade weapons to destroy other people. That's just my belief. Leave your comments on the, send the email to Guitar for Jesus. And the whole thing is it's for Jesus. So I'm going to be talking about love and grace and forgiveness more than I am about weaponization and arming the masses. So that's just who I am. Sorry. Um, I was at a event a couple years ago, and I've said this before on an earlier broadcast, and we were at a military. It was when Top Gun in San Diego changed from being Air Force to Marine Base, and so they were doing an infantry demonstration. They only did it one time. It was on a Friday, a military only day that my kids were in Boy Scouts. So we got invited to this thing because we were in Scouts. I was a scout leader. And they only did it one time. The city said never again. And basically, what they did was they brought out three tanks and they said, "Ladies and gentlemen, here comes three remote control tanks. These are remote control. There's not a human operator." And now, if you look to the left side down the flight line, you will see an F-14 Tomcat doing 535 miles an hour. It is under the Mach speed. And you saw this little tiny button of light. Button. I mean, just this black thing in the sky. And it just goes, and napalm 8 stories high. I mean, as it went by, I mean, it was just, oh my gosh, are you kidding? And then they had two Harrier jets come in and just, come in and just start firing miniguns, and they crossed each other. And after they crossed each other, they fired Tomcat missiles and blew up. And then these Cobra helicopters came in and they were circling and firing miniguns again. 1,000 rounds of second of 30-06 bullets. These things are this big, projectiles at 1,000 rounds a second, flying around with these 6 helicopters. And once again, they turned again and fired Tomcats. And they're, the Hueys came in, dropped these guys. They fired mortars. I mean, it was just like, it was insanity. It seemed like 20 minutes. It was probably 5 minutes and it was done. But when they were done, there was a 3-story hole in the ground where these three tanks had originally been. And as the dirt's falling out of the ground, and everybody's like, "What just happened?" Loudest bombs you could ever possibly imagine. And these bulldozers show up. CBs are there to push all the dirt back into the flight line. It was amazing. But at that point, I realized that if you're a South Dakota Indian with a shotgun protecting your land from the pipeline and you're trying to defend your reservation against the U.S. government, or you're the Chinese or the Russians, good luck with that, because I would bet on our military force 100% against anything else. I saw them in action, and man, I gotta tell you what, these guys are some the Marines blow stuff up. That's all I'm going to say. They love to blow stuff up, and they're real good at it. So, do not go against the United States military. And if you think that you need your protection and that you're a militia and that we have the Second Amendment right to protect your house from criminals, 100%. To protect your house from the militia, you don't stand a chance. And that's all I got to say about that. Okay. So, anyway, renewing of your mind. Once again, focus on the word, focus on Jesus. In fact, Proverbs 1, it says it right at the very beginning. Let me get it back here to Proverbs 1 if I can right now. Because it says um Proverbs beginning says written down. Okay, here these messages were written down so we'll know how to live well and right, to understand what life means and where it's going. It's a manual for living. Bible, Bible, a basic instructions before leaving earth, for learning what's right and just and fair, and to teach the inexperienced a rope, and to give our young people a grasp on reality. And there's something here also for seasoned men and women. That would be me. I'm seasoned, salty, and there's still a thing or two for the experienced to learn. Fresh wisdom to probe and penetrate the rhymes and reasons of wise men and women. And so that's Proverbs 1, the wise understanding for men and women. So if you want a better life, real easy. You can change the world, and political strife and political, oh, what's the word I'm looking for, exasperation in your life, and the and then the violence in the city you live in, and that's, it's so easy. It's so easy. Well, you're not informed. Yes, I'm not informed of things that I don't need to know about. The car accident that's going on the highway right now really doesn't affect me, and I'm sorry to be, and I'm not selfish because I care about them and I love them, but I can guarantee you it's not my family. I can guarantee you that there is such a minuscule chance that it's anybody I know, or even affects anybody that I know, that it's not worth my time. And if it does, the phone will ring when I get off of here, and I'll be able to pray for them and go help them and help in any way that I can, but that probably doesn't affect me. So why should I let that permeate my mind and affect me in a negative way? So hit off. Renew your mind, first off, by hitting off. Secondly, by studying the Word of God. And I would say, I recommend highly getting into Proverbs, a proverb a day. Just today's the 16th of the month. Read Proverbs 16. If you don't want to do it today because it's too late, hey, tomorrow's the 17th. Guess what? Proverbs 17. It's just a great way to learn wisdom and to run your life. And if there's something you don't agree with in the Bible, don't do it. And if there's something that is like, wow, I never thought of that way, I should incorporate that. Incorporate that. That would be a good thing to do. So I think what I'm going to do now is the song I was going to do is Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus. And that's another thing. I'm just going to get onto it right now. Um, and I've never heard anybody put me down because of it. But when it comes to the New Testament, there's 4 books that I really study: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I start with John, and then I go through Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And the reason why is because I want to know what Jesus said. You know, I understand that, how the Bible was set up, but for 4 books in the Bible, God actually walked on the earth and taught people. And he taught us about heaven. He taught us about each other. He taught us about love and grace and mercy and forgiveness and anger and just every life experience you could have. And then at the end, he died. and he rose again from the dead. I want to know what he knows. I mean, very simply, if there's anybody in the Bible I want to study, it's Jesus. Okay. To me, that he's the center part of the Bible. And so there's 4 books written by people who actually walked with him. And so those are the ones that I study. Anyway, and that's what I do. I would start with, if you want to read the entire Bible, great read, lots of history, lots of good ideas and suggestions. But between you and me, the 4 books of the Bible, the Gospels, so Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Proverbs, and that's, at that point, I'm pretty much, I hit off to the rest of it. Sorry, guys. Anyway, and do not read the Bible aloud at the time. Read it a story at a time. I'm just give you that little bit, and now I play music. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Underground Gospel Show. Renewing my mind. I should spend more time renewing my guitar. Anyway, I'm just kidding, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. And we'll see you here next week on the Underground Gospel Show. Running credits right now.